Hello all and welcome to this, and this will be not a review per se, just me kind of talking about season 2 of Arrow. I would normally be doing this with Markeem, or Nightmare Baller, but he already did his, so I'm going to do mine. Basically talking about Arrow season 2. Arrow, which surprisingly is probably maybe the best superhero TV show ever. I can't think of anything that's better. The closest thing before Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the closest thing that I would even think about it would probably be the Witchblade series, which probably none of you have ever seen. But that would probably be the closest thing I would think that would be close to this. Unless maybe I'm just missing one, but I can't think of anything that would be, anything closer than that from as far as a live action TV series. So yeah. But anyways, let's talk about this. This season can be summed up in one word: Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. He was the main guy. Everything pretty much led up to him coming to torment Ollie, and that's what we got. If you've never seen the show basically works like this. Uh, Ollie, who is the Green Arrow, he was on an island for, I believe it's 5 years. And so they do flashbacks explaining what happened to him while he was on the island, and then they flash forward, and one of the flashbacks was about Slade Wilson, and we saw that last year. So we all knew something was going to be coming, and we got that this year, and yeah. So he eventually showed up, and we got Slade fucking Wilson. We got Deathstroke. We did. This was not toned down. Well, I take it back. This was toned down a little bit. If you actually, you're like me, and you know the history of the character, there were elements that were toned down just a little bit. But for the most part, they did a great job in really showing what he was all about, considering that he's not a character that non-comic book fans really probably know a lot about. So that was greatness. So that was the big deal. We also we got more in depth. We got hints of Ra's al Ghul last season, and this season we got a whole lot of Ra's al Ghul. Got one of his daughters showing up. We found out that Black Canary was affiliated with him in a major way, and her in a very major way. And let's see, we also got the Suicide Squad this year, which was really good. You even got a little cameo of Harley Quinn. So if Harley Quinn's there, that means Joker's running around somewhere in this universe. We got Barry Allen introduced. We didn't get to see him as Flash, as that will be in his own series starting up next season as they expand the universe, which I would expect and I really do expect. I expected this even as soon as they announced that they will probably, by the end of next season, between Arrow and Flash, what we will have is that Hal Jordan will be introduced, because you're missing one of the three, and that is Hal Jordan. So I would imagine Hal Jordan will get introduced. If you haven't seen the Flash preview, especially the extended one, which I think is about 5 minutes long, I recommend going and seeing it. It is really good, really sells the idea of the show. This will definitely be a superhero show. It's not going to be a bunch of, it's not going to have somewhat super beings in it. It will have super powered people in it, which is kind of the premise of the show, it looks like. So that will be really cool. Both of these shows look like they're everything that Smallville wasn't, which, yay, because I hated Smallville, even though I think the last 2 seasons, or maybe the last 3, I watched a lot, or more than I had before, because they started doing stuff that I kind of liked, even though I still wasn't a fan of the show per se, but there was stuff that I felt like I wanted to watch as a comic book fan. But this show is everything Smallville isn't. It's greatness in that way. It was just really good. We got a major death this season. Next season, I don't know how they're even going to. I'm guessing Merlin will be who we find out wasn't dead. That's not a big spoiler. Would be the villain maybe next season, the major villain, though I think they're going to have to do a little bit more than that, because how do you top Slade Wilson? Though it could be Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad. She could wind up being, we could start seeing this, because at some point, if they follow the comics, and they really want to expand the universe, and they introduce Hal Jordan, and you've got Barry Allen, what you have to do is you have to kind of change the way we've seen Ollie's character, and that he's going to have to become kind of, I don't really know how to, much more, he becomes much more of a leftist, I guess would be this, or a political leftist, I guess, in some ways. A very different character from the other two, which is why the dynamic between the three works so well. So I would imagine we would have to see that. But yeah, if you've not seen this show, I can't recommend it enough. I know Marquine feels the same way. It's really good. The season finale was awesome. You got to see just all sorts of people just kicking ass. You got to you did get to see kind of where it looked like they had at least thought out the storylines. Probably not as good. Shield is a little bit better, I would say, and I'll talk about Agents of Shield in another video. But it's probably a little better of connecting everything. This show, and I think it has a lot to do more with the CW and the way the CW does things, so it's not as connected as what, though it's connected very well, just not as well. I think that's one thing, even though I know people don't like Shield as much, Agents of Shield, I think that's something that has over it, but that's beside the point. But the season finale, yeah, and at the season finale we got as I said, they kind of, you got present time and they run back, and we knew that Ollie hadn't been on the island where he was captive for so long the whole time, and we found out that's definitely not the case, because he did escape at least once, and Amanda Waller showed up, so we know that he knows of Amanda Waller before, and yeah, so yeah, good stuff, to be honest. Trying to think of what else to talk about on this show, other than just say watch it. Let's see, we got Thea's character kind of developed a whole lot. Laurel's character became at least not hated. I think she became more sympathetic. We saw, I'm not going to say an expansion of the universe per se, like I said, but we started to see some other things that maybe will come back. Like I said, you had Deathstroke, and the real Deathstroke. You had if you don't know the history, Deathstroke is really the main villain. If you were to pick somebody that he's really kind of the arch and nemesis of, it would probably be Dick Grayson, who is the original Robin, Nightwing, who was rumored to be on the season, but that turned out not to be the case, which kind of sucks. But that's kind of his arch enemy, and that started with the Teen Titans, which was all of these sidekicks, heroes who kind of got together. Yeah, and that's kind of where it started. And really good in a weird kind of way. Deadpool, which people somehow know Deadpool better than, which is just weird to me. Is really a offshoot of is really a copy of Deathstroke, but there we go there. But yeah, really good season. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought everything worked out really well. We got sprinkles of everything that we needed to get. I would imagine next season what we'll see is Ollie basically, he lost his company. Now he's probably going to get his company back in some way or shape or form and rebuild it back to its glory, because that's what Ollie does. And yeah, and we also found out that he does have a son. That, if for the comic book geeks out there, Connor looks like he exists, and that will be pretty good. I'm curious if, when we get to the end of the season of this series, if they start flashing forward to where maybe Ollie's training Connor, who is the only other person who was a Green Arrow, is his son. And that would be it. Unlike The Flash, where we've had 3 Flashes, And in that series, I am kind of curious if we're going to see Wally West in some shape or form, or C.J. Garrett in some shape or form. So, yeah. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have on this. I wasn't going to talk a lot about it, but a lot of people had asked me about it. And like I said, this show is just really, really freaking good. I know some people wait till Netflix to watch it. So if you're waiting Netflix when Netflix put it, watch this show. If you haven't watched the first season, I would recommend going and watching it. It does start off kind of slow, but once it picks up, and it does not drop off. And if you are a comic book geek, you will find things to love about this show, I guarantee you. But anyways, with that, I'm out. That's really all I got. So later.